The big shot is bankrupt and I can't bring myself to take the extra cash and leave. Because I'm beautiful, I love money, and only know how to spend the big shot's money on shopping. I want to wait for him to build back up. When that happens, just enjoying a little of the surplus, won't I achieve financial freedom? Who would have thought the big shot was faking his bankruptcy? When I was isekai'd into this novel, it was already at the final ending. The big shot is the villain defeated by the male lead. I still remember the last part about him. The only thing left for the corrupt Qin Buliang is just his wife lying in the room, along with expensive bags and clothes. But Qin Buliang himself also knows. This woman who only demands money will very quickly take the bags and clothes and leave. You failed, you'll have nothing left. I let out a sigh. Right now I have nowhere to go. Can I even make money on my own? Big shot. If I want to leave, I have to wait until you have an income or a career. Looking at this messy room, I stand up and begin to clean. I've been cleaning for a full 3 hours. Right now, a corner of the room is piled up to the ceiling. Over 100 bags and more than 80 sets of clothes. When I woke up, it was already 2 p.m. Now it's past 5 p.m. already, my stomach is growling. I rummaged through the bags placed on the tea table. Suddenly found an idea bank card and a few hundred yuan. I didn't even step into the kitchen. The big shot and the cannon fodder just moved in. Neither of these two knows how to cook. There's definitely nothing in the kitchen. Gotta go out to find food myself. Though the big shot's rented house is small, the neighborhood is actually quite good. The security and location are pretty solid. Downstairs has tons of eateries. I'll just grab some noodles for now and head back. Remembering that in the bathroom. The personal items were pretty scarce earlier. I stopped by a nearby supermarket, carrying a bag of daily necessities. Heading back, I also bought a share for the big shot. The colors and styles were all according to my memories of him when choosing to buy for the house. I started cleaning up again, opening the door into the big shot's room, seeing inside. Aside from a few too many books and things on the desk, there was only the bed and essential items. I let out a helpless sigh. It must be hard for this originally aristocratic man to have to endure a life like this. There wasn't much to clean in this room either, so I just wiped down the desk surface, neatly arranged the documents, then closed the door and went back to the living room to keep cleaning. By the time I was almost done cleaning, it was already 10 p.m. After washing my face and freshening up, I set the late night snack on the living room table, intending to take a comfortable rest and enjoy the delicious takeout at the same time. Right as I opened the packaging, ready to put the first bite into my mouth, the main door opposite suddenly opened. I raised my head, locking eyes with dark glass-like eyes. The owner of those eyes looked at me emotionlessly. Attracting his gaze, he casually swept his eyes across the room. With a flash of surprise in his look, his gaze returned and fixed upon me. At the same time, I sized up the other guy. This is an extraordinarily handsome man, truly worthy of the author's flowery words. But that extremely handsome appearance must carry his specific aura. For the first time, I realized that there really is someone who looks like poetry, holding a sword like a dashing swordsman of old, holding a gun like a general on the battlefield, holding a book like an honorable gentleman, making people feel unconsciously ashamed of themselves. Gripping the chopsticks tightly in my hand, I couldn't help but feel tense. I'm an imposter, so can a man like this really not notice his wife acting strange? His gaze makes people feel that everything in his eyes remains completely undisturbed. The big shot asked me, "Did you hire someone to clean? Is there enough money?" Like the crisp sound of a lawyer's camera. It even carried a bit of a deep raspy tone. Magnetically, I unconsciously shook my head. "No, I cleaned it myself." "You cleaned it, E?" The other guy clearly showed surprise. "I cleaned it myself." I took a deep breath and raised my head. He was staring straight at me in astonishment. The two of them looked at each other. He was the first to look away. He took off his coat and hung it on the hook next to the door. "Is there enough money?" "It's enough. What about you?" I habitually asked back. The other guy looked over in surprise again. After his tone softened, he said, "It's enough." Both fell into silence. Qin Buliang looked at the food I was eating and suddenly blurted out, "I'm sorry." Before I could even react, I looked up, followed his gaze, and hurriedly shook my head. No, it's fine. You have nothing to apologize for." Qin Buliang walked closer, sat down on the sofa on the other side, and said thoughtfully, "The basic asset issues have been settled. Both movable and immovable assets have been divided. Though nothing is left over, there are no debts either. You don't need to worry. As for the debt issue, I currently have 30,000 yuan left in hand. Once this is settled, I will make money as soon as possible. You should still have 60,000 left in your card. I've already paid half a year's rent for this house. If you want a divorce, I will give you an extra 20,000 first, before you can rent a house. You can just continue staying here. I know that Qin Buliang is truly merciful toward the cannon fodder. Our current total assets are only 90,000. His point is that if we divorce, he will give me 80,000 and let me stay here. He won't even take the bags and clothes. Then he'll only be left with one room and 10,000 yuan. Seeing me remain silent, Qin Buliang asked, "Is that okay? As for my future money, I will give a portion to you every month. At least 3,000 each month, okay? Because right now, I don't know what the future holds either, so I can only promise this much. If there's a chance to start over from scratch, I will make it up to you. I hurriedly shook my head. Qin Buliang went completely silent, his entire being turning somber. I realized that my action just now might have caused a misunderstanding, so I immediately explained. No, it's not that. I don't want a divorce. I don't need you to give me money either. Don't worry, I still have enough money to spend. I've already accepted reality. From now on, I will spend more frugally and make money myself. You don't need to put too much pressure on yourself. An ordinary family doesn't spend that much. You're not divorcing. But didn't you say yesterday? I didn't expect you to say that. I recalled that yesterday, the cannon fodder seemed truly furious. The big shot was uselessly talking about divorce, making my face stiffen. That was because I was drunk back then. I didn't mean it. I've thought it through completely. Right now, I can't divorce you. We are already married. I won't get a divorce at a time like this. In the future, I will also carry my own weight in life. You don't need to worry about me. Supporting myself is totally fine. And who knows, maybe I can even support you. I raised my face. Qin Buliang looked at me with a strange gaze. I also knew that my reaction just now was too different from before. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. If you don't want a divorce, then forget it. Whenever you want a divorce, just tell me. Qin Buliang didn't say anything more either. He lightly massaged his temples, his brow showing signs of fatigue, and stood up to go wash his face. I lowered my head awkwardly and kept eating. Hearing the sound of Qin Buliang entering the bathroom, his footsteps paused for a few seconds. He probably noticed that the place I cleaned up was completely different from before. Then the sound of running water splashed. Starting to wash up, waiting for me to finish eating. Qin Buliang also finished washing up and walked out. Unlike the awkward scenario I had imagined, the other guy was dressed quite modestly with an exceptionally handsome face, thanked me once, and then went back to his room. Before leaving, he politely told me to sleep early. Just glancing at the lunchbox that was completely emptied, I scratched my head, feeling as though it were all a dream. Reorganizing my train of thought, I went to wash up, then returned to my room and opened my laptop, going online to register a personal shop on a secondhand marketplace. Only after everything was done did I shut down and go to sleep. The next morning, I woke up at 6:30 a.m. as usual, thinking for a bit. I reluctantly got out of bed to prep the ingredients bought yesterday. After setting the pot to cook porridge, I went downstairs to buy buns and fried dough sticks. When I returned, Qin Buliang just opened the door and walked out. Even though he had just woken up early in the morning, this man was still full of noble grace, showing not a single bit of exhaustion from staying up late. Hearing the noise, he looked at the breakfast bag in my hand. I instinctively rubbed my eyes, thinking I was seeing things. Good morning. I held up the buns and fried dough sticks in my hand. I bought breakfast and finished cooking porridge, hurry and wash up. Saying that, I headed into the kitchen myself to check on the porridge, ignoring the highly skeptical gaze from behind. Because both of us had stayed up late before, fearing that our energy and blood would be lacking, I specifically made red date and red bean porridge. Now the porridge is finally ready. I ladled 2 bowls into the porcelain bowls bought yesterday, then arranged the buns and fried dough sticks on a plate, boiled some eggs and stir-fried a quick dish. When Qin Buliang came out of the bathroom, what he saw on the dining table was a breakfast that could be considered quite hearty. The scene before him was so cozy, but Qin Buliang didn't feel it at all. One should know their own wife well. They've been married for 3 years already. She has never known how to do housework or cook. She only knew how to do one thing: shopping. The background check documents from before the wedding didn't say she knew how to do this either, so she was just faking it all along before. Qin Buliang's eyes were filled with suspicion. I remembered clearly the excuse. I thought up last night before the house had maids, so I didn't need to lift a finger. Now there's only the 2 of us left, and the house doesn't have much money left either. Are we supposed to eat out forever? My cooking isn't that great, but it's acceptable. If you don't mind, just come home and eat from now on. Before, when Grandpa asked if you knew how to cook, did you lie to him? Qin Buliang sat opposite me. After saying that, he took a spoon and ate a bite of the porridge. I was stunned there was even an incident like that. I hurriedly gave an awkward laugh. My skill level, how could it even compare to anything? Back then, I thought Grandpa always ate delicacies from land and sea, so I didn't dare to show off my basic skills. This excuse seemed pretty solid for now. Qin Buliang nodded. Actually, the taste is quite good. Qin Buliang ate the porridge very quickly, but he only ate 1 bun and also only ate 1 fried dough stick. I looked at his far from skinny build and thought that amount probably wouldn't keep him full. But seeing how elegantly he ate, I understood right away. But then again, for someone who was pampered from childhood to adulthood, eating this humble meal must truly be hard on him. Even if the big shot hits rock bottom, he doesn't become an ordinary person. I see this kind of life as normal, but to someone like him, every single day must be pure torture. Too bad I'm helpless right now as well. I can't afford delicacies from land and sea, so the big shot will just have to eat regular mortal food. After finishing the meal, Qin Buliang wanted to help clear up into the kitchen. I hurriedly stopped him. No need. I can handle cleaning this up. I know how to wash dishes. If you have work, just go do it. Team Buliang put down his bowl and chopsticks. The businesses aren't fully settled yet. I probably won't be back today until tonight. You don't need to worry about me. If something comes up, just call. Alright, go do your thing. Waiting until Chin Buliang walked out. The door I finally felt relieved. Even if this man reigns in his aura, the noble grace all over his body can never be erased. That oppressive vibe is constantly looming. If I hadn't met many people like that before, it would be really hard to bear right now. Today, I have a lot of things to do too. Not only do I have to buy things for the house, but I also need to take photos of the pile of bags and clothes to post online. Selling off all these items. Selling them all should fetch over $1,000,000. Then the big shot will have capital for whatever he wants to do. I also need to research the web novels of this world and consider returning to my old profession. That's right, I used to be a web novel author. My college major was interior design. After graduation, I didn't want to make that my main career. So I just flat out went into writing novels, occasionally doing some digital art to earn a little pocket change, and sometimes writing promotional articles, while helping him out with DIY crafts on the side. Anyway, there are plenty of ways to make money, and I've always lived quite comfortably. After finishing the dishes, I took a walk around the house, listed down the things to buy, took the list, and went out. I never liked window shopping in the first place. So right after buying, I went home to put the things away immediately, then went to take photos of the bags and clothes, staying busy for the entire morning, and only managed to take photos of over 20 items. At noon, I made myself some instant noodles. Following my old habit, I took a nap until 2:30. Waking up, I kept taking photos all afternoon to finally finish the bags. I was already exhausted beyond belief the previous cannon fodder. Only knew how to shop all day, hitting the streets to buy things, eating out whenever possible and not returning home. Plus she was keeping her figure, so she ate very little. Her body was extremely weak. For dinner, I slurped the reheated porridge and ate the morning's buns. I flat out went back to my room to read web novels. I'm done with physical activities for today, so I can only rely on mental labor. After nearly 2 hours of doing that, I happily clapped my hands and drank my cup of coffee down to the last drop. The web novels of this world are lagging behind my old world. The stories I used to write can all be rewritten much better in this world. This is absolutely amazing. I specifically researched 2 websites, determined to write 2 stories at the same time, as long as the drafts get approved. I will definitely grind and update diligently. Making a living won't be an issue at all. Opening the directory, I was just about to create a new file, when I suddenly heard the sound of the main door opening outside. Hesitating slightly, I still jumped off the bed, slipped into my sandals, and ran out. There was no other choice. This morning, I realized the door wasn't deadbolted from the inside. The big shot is probably used to living in a villa, and forgot that in this kind of house, you have to lock it yourself. Kim Buliang paused his hanging up motion when he saw me come out. I greeted him while running over to deadbolt the door. You're back. This morning, I just realized that last night, this door wasn't deadbolted. Before at the villa, there were people in charge of security, but there's none now. For this type of door, you have to deadbolt it at night. Otherwise, a thief can pry it open in no time. I know now, the 2 of us were basically no different from strangers. So I had to find something to talk about. Have you eaten yet? I've eaten. Today I bought some more daily necessities. If you're lacking anything, just tell me. I'll go buy it later. I'm not lacking anything for now. Ending the conversation. What else could even be said? I thought for 3 seconds and flat out chose to retreat. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm heading back to my room. If you need anything, just call me. Kim Buliang waited for me to close my bedroom door. Before observing the apartment, he even took a stroll into the kitchen and the bathroom. Today, there were many more things in the house, adding a bit of a cozy everyday vibe compared to before. There was even a small potted plant on the windowsill, tissues on the dining table, the tea and chopstick set, bowls, everything showed thought was put into it, and even a highly detailed DIY character figure. The corner of his mouth twitched into a mysterious smile. Kim Buliang raised his eyes and glanced towards my room. Is this woman really planning to stay here? It's as if she changed it into a completely different person. I had no idea what he was doing. I was busy cleaning up the computer. The original owner actually worked hard in high school to get into a top-tier university, but in college, she basically just slacked off. Her computer skills were utterly terrible. The machine's processing speed was horribly slow. I had to clean up everything inside, and also see what the original owner had left behind. After rummaging through for a bit, I found the photo folder. Inside, there were many more subfolders. Most were selfies of the original owner. A small portion were photos of her parents. The rest were photos of college activities. In addition, there were photos of assignments and collections. The last folder was named with some strange characters. I clicked to check it out, and oh my god. Inside were photos taken with a man. One glance, and you could tell he's the corporate elite type. He looked pretty handsome too, but that appearance made me feel disgusted just looking at it. He truly gave off a wolf in sheep's clothing vibe, especially when smiling, making people feel like he had bad intentions. Seeing the 2 of them being this intimate My soul almost suffered a heart attack, so I hurriedly checked the dates. Thank goodness, they were all from before the wedding. What a relief, leaving only a few not so intimate photos. I quickly deleted all the remaining photos completely. I remember now, this guy is the original owner's ex-boyfriend. Back in college. A second generation rich guy, but they broke up a long time ago. There's absolutely no reason to keep this stuff around. Luckily, the big shot didn't nitpick over this. Otherwise, if it were discovered, it would literally be a time bomb. After finishing cleaning the computer, it was already almost 11 p.m. I let out a yawn and rolled over to sleep. The next morning, I woke up even earlier than yesterday. Not going downstairs to buy things anymore. I made fried rice myself to go with milk, plus 2 additional side dishes. Yesterday, I didn't have time to steam the buns, so this morning we just have to eat this for now. When Chin Buliang woke up, I had already prepared the food and drinks completely. Once he finishes washing up, he can eat right away. You even know how to make fried rice. Chin Buliang looked at the plate of rice with green peas, diced ham, diced beef, and diced bamboo shoots, once again changing his perception of me. That's right though, I don't know how to make many dishes. Home-cooked meals are still fine. It's just that they aren't extremely delicious. At most, they are just edible. Don't look down on it. Chin Buliang scooped a spoonful. It's actually quite tasty. As long as you like it. I was still thinking about today's plan. Before I could even look up, Chin Buliang suddenly asked about coming home for lunch today. I'll be right back. What do you want to eat? Whatever you make, I'll eat. But I want to eat rice. I've already thought it through. Then I'll make sweet and sour pork ribs, stir-fried tomatoes, and eggs. And lettuce egg soup. How does that sound? Will that keep you full? That should do. Then feel free to go do your work. Lunch is at past 12 o'clock. After eating, Chin Buliang cleaned up a bit and left. I was still the one to clear the dishes. Stepping out into the neighborhood, Chin Buliang got into a car parked at the gate. The driver was his assistant Shilang, who was also a childhood friend chosen by his grandfather. Seeing him get into the car safely, the other guy handed him a piece of paper in his hand. Brother Chin, remember to eat early. No need to eat. I already ate. It was fried rice made by Xu Ye. The other guy froze while handing over the item. Miss Shi actually knows how to cook, so it's also my first time finding out she knows how to cook. Yesterday she made porridge. I thought that was already a bizarre thing. Then hearing her say she knows how to cook, I thought she was just bragging. Turns out today she made fried rice. Before I left, I said I'd come back for lunch. She said she'd make some dishes. Shilang frowned. She isn't scheming. Something is she... I remember before you two just stayed out of each other's way, and she doesn't know how to do anything at all. Right, didn't she demand a divorce? Yes. I've already looked up the procedural steps. Why hasn't she made a move now? She said she's not divorcing anymore. She has accepted our current life. In the future, she will live well and even make money. And told me not to put too much pressure on myself. Chin Buliang leaned against the back of the seat. Could it be that Miss this lady, could it be that she couldn't bear to see you suffer? And plans to share the hardships with you if that's true? Then she's pretty kind-hearted, huh? Chin Buliang's voice was flat. In college, she just slacked off. Married for years, she only knew how to spend money. The day before, she demanded a divorce, and the next day, she changed her mind. What do you think? Shilang was at a loss for words. Thinking it over, everyone says adversity reveals true feelings. Maybe her conscience kicked in. You don't know who's real until you face hardships. Lately, we've seen quite a few people flip their scripts. Maybe Miss Shi had to go through this to show that she's a good girl. Maybe. Chin Buliang didn't care much. Let's go. Anyway, she won't affect the big picture. We'll wait and see. I was busy all morning with selling the clothes. With 80 sets of clothes, I can't wear them all anyway. Leaving over 10 sets to keep up appearances is enough. The rest will be sold off. Then I can buy normal clothes instead. It took over 2 hours just to sell half of them. I looked at the wall clock. It was already 10 o'clock, thinking I needed to go grocery shopping. I turned off the computer, put away the clothes, threw on a casual coat, and headed out the door. Instead of buying a little, I bought quite a lot at once. Leaving the supermarket, both of my hands were full, carrying 2 large bags back to the neighborhood. Just as I crossed the street, I suddenly heard a voice calling out. Turning around, it was a fairly handsome man, dressed quite sophisticatedly. Looking closely, isn't this the guy from the photos last night? Seeing me turn around, the other guy ran over. Ye, how did you end up in this state? I looked down at my clothes, then looked at the things I was carrying, wondering if there was some kind of issue. Why are you here? I heard the news that Chin Buliang went bankrupt, so I hurried over to look for you. Before you said this, it was a family arranged marriage, and you had to keep the promise, but it was only because you saw he was rich. Now that he's bankrupt and out of money, why bother staying with him? Look at you now, even going to a supermarket, look at that. Even going to buy groceries. Don't tell me you have to cook yourself, dump him, and come back to my side. I thought I misheard. What did you say? This guy is really putting on a deeply affectionate act. Dump Chin Buliang and come back to me. I will give you a better life. Ma'am, you don't have to be so heartbroken. You shouldn't be suffering like this. Just come back to my side. I will definitely take good care of you, if not for the facts about this guy. In my memory, I would have almost been touched by that look. Guan Liucheng, the second young master of the Guan family, who was also the cannon fodder's ex-boyfriend. Back when he was with the cannon fodder before, while enjoying her attentiveness, he also mocked her for wanting to cling to a rich guy. Although he had money, he never spent a single dime on her. When they were dating, it was always the cannon fodder who paid, treating the cannon fodder like a servant, extremely complacent. Not until Qin Buliang came looking for her did he put on a deeply affectionate front, wanting the cannon fodder to reject Qin Buliang. The cannon fodder used to be fully devoted to him, skimping on food and clothes to save money for him, only fearing being looked down upon by him. Yet he only wanted to play with the cannon fodder's feelings. Fortunately, the cannon fodder was still quite conservative and hadn't let him take advantage of her yet. Actually, she had intended to reject Qin Buliang, but by a twist of fate, she saw him kissing her best friend, and even saying he was just playing with her, which made her feel despondent. It was also because of that she felt that in this life, only money is the most reliable thing, which is why she squandered money like water later on. For the cannon fodder's tragedy, he must carry at least half of the responsibility. Now he's coming to find her again. It's absolutely not out of deep affection. It's unclear what he is plotting, but it's definitely with bad intentions. I think there are at least 3 reasons for this action of his. First, before Qin Buliang was someone he had to look up to. Now that he has fallen from grace and lost his power, playing with his wife makes him feel thrilled. Second, if I'm easily lured away, it will deal another blow to Qin Buliang again. Maybe they even want to ruin him. Third, since he didn't get her before, he has always been unwilling to accept it, so he definitely has to obtain me. Aside from those 3 reasons, I'm not completely sure either, but it feels like it's not that simple. I shook my head. I'm not going with you. Go back to wherever you came from. Why, Qin Buliang is already— what are you still doing staying with him? He will only make you suffer. What are you even seeking? I let out a sigh, my expression turning serious. Stop it. As husband and wife, we must share both blessings and hardships. I am his wife. Of course I have to stay by his side. No matter what happens to him, I cannot abandon him. Don't say it's just a temporary failure. Even if he becomes crippled, I will still take care of him. It has nothing to do with money at all. As long as we haven't divorced for a single day, I won't abandon him. Not to mention that right now, he really needs me. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Before was he ever good? To you, why do you have to suffer along with him? If I'm not mistaken, he and you have no feelings for each other. He only knew how to give you money for shopping. The two of you basically have no affection. Guan Liucheng looked at me as if looking at an idiot. Who says he treated me badly? Back when he was still rich, every month I received a lot of money. Although he didn't have time to be with me, I could spend money freely. This money might be nothing to him. But nobody's money just blows in with the wind. Him. Giving it is affection, not giving it is also normal. He gave it to me, so I must accept his kindness. Now that he has lost everything, even if we divorce, he still lets me stay in the rented house, and even wants to give the rest of the money to me. With me, he has already been as kind and dutiful as possible. Guan Liucheng was completely in disbelief. If this isn't called treating someone well, then what is? We basically had no feelings for each other to begin with. So for his character to be like this is already very good. You say he's not good, so are you any better? How am I not good? If you come with me, I will definitely treat you well. I immediately let out a cold laugh. Back in college when I had no money, you always looked down on me thinking that I wanted to cling to a rich guy like you. But during our nearly 2 years together, you didn't spend a single cent either. The gifts you gave me were flowers picked by the roadside. On the contrary, I always worked hard at part-time jobs to earn money for you to spend. In the end, when Qin Buliang came looking for me, you told me not to go with him, yet you turned around and fooled around with my best friend. Guan Liucheng tried to speak, but I cut him off. Furthermore, you're looking for me now, not because you love me, but because stealing Qin Buliang's woman makes you feel satisfied. If you truly loved me, and knew Qin Buliang only gave me money, why before he lost his wealth? Didn't you come looking for him all before I was fooled because I loved you? But ever since I found out you're a scumbag, I've seen right through you. I'm not stupid. What nonsense are you talking about? What kind of person do you take me for? I genuinely love you. Did you hear Qin Buliang talk trash about me? Guan Liucheng's gaze turned dark and gloomy. I let out a sigh. You think way too highly of yourself. No way. That man has never once mentioned you. He didn't care about you at all to begin with. It's only you who keeps obsessing over him, trying to force your presence in front of him. Just like people often say, whatever kind of person you are, that's how the world looks in your eyes. Just go wherever you need to go. I don't want to say anything harsher. The only one you can fool is someone who loves you. If a girl doesn't love you, and isn't greedy for your money either, then think about it. What are you even worth? Guan Liucheng's gaze grew even darker. He took a few steps forward and I stepped backward. He said with a pained expression, "Little Yi, Qin Buliang must have brainwashed you. How could you think like that? I genuinely like you. And that Qin Buliang doesn't even have money now? Which is why he's clinging to you and won't let go. Don't be so foolish. Stop right there. Don't come over here." I immediately shouted to make him stop. "Your mouth keeps saying that you like me, but clearly seeing me carry such heavy things like this, you didn't even bother to come over and help me out. And you call that liking someone? You probably only know how to play with women, but have never truly loved anyone wholeheartedly. In short, flat out abandoning one's husband in times of trouble is definitely not something a decent human would do. I will not abandon him. Drop that idea. If I ever leave him, it will only be when he no longer needs me." Guan Liucheng was about to say something else, when the sound of applause suddenly echoed around us. "Well said, young lady," beautifully said. "Your mindset is so righteous, exactly. If everyone thought like that, there wouldn't be so many divorces. This girl is truly kind-hearted. Her husband is so lucky to have married her. I only just realized that nearby there was a crowd of people who had just finished exercising and were currently on their way back home." The group of elderly people stepped forward. The old man leading them looked at Guan Liucheng and just kept shaking his head. "Young man, that young lady is living well with her husband. It's inappropriate for you to come here and try to ruin it. Just think about it, so? If you get married and someone tries to sabotage you all day, let's see how you would feel. Do not do to others what you would not have them do to you." An old lady in a red shirt took a step forward. "You say that because the guy has no money. She must dump her husband and follow you, then can you guarantee that you won't ever face financial trouble in the future? When that time comes, will your wife dump you for another rich guy? If she really dumped her husband to follow you, would you even dare to marry her in this world? Which group of people is the hardest to mess with? One is the teenagers, what say, and the second is the elderly group." This bunch of old folks acted as if a trigger had just been pulled. Each person started scolding Guan Liucheng, not giving him a single chance to talk back. In no time, he became a morally corrupt scumbag, whose morals were completely warped beyond saving. I hurriedly made way for the elderly folks, standing behind the crowd holding back my laughter, calling out to the grandpas and grandmas. "He is the one who needs to be educated. You all must teach him a good lesson. I still have to go home to cook dinner, so please excuse me, I'll head back first. I'll chat with you all again when there's a chance later." The elderly folks in front waved their hands, saying it was fine. "Just go back, leave things here to us." Not too far from their Qin Buliang and Shilong witnessed the whole thing. Sitting in the car, they were stunned for a good while, watching until Guan Liucheng admitted his fault. Before the old folks finally let him go, Shilong could only exclaim in astonishment, "Brother Qin, was that actually Miss Shi just now? Why does it feel to me like she has completely changed her character?" Qin Buliang was also seeing his wife like this for the first time. Before, he had never really paid attention to her. But Miss Shi is actually very kind-hearted. Even though before she only knew how to spend money, now that you are bankrupt on paper, she still refuses to leave you, preferring to suffer just to stay with you. Moreover, it's not out of love, but out of duty. Just like what those old folks said, her morals are truly so spot on. Her morals are indeed very spot on. Qin Buliang felt his perception of me had some discrepancies. Shilong was very surprised. "Brother Qin, this means you've scored a treasure. Look at what she said. The money you spent before wasn't in vain. She still remembers your kindness. Miss Shi's character is truly flawless." Qin Buliang opened the car door. "This afternoon, I'm not going out anymore. Go handle the real estate procedures." "Understood." Waiting for Qin Buliang to get off before driving away, Qin Buliang intended to head straight home. But on second thought, he still dropped by the supermarket for a bit. When he returned, as soon as he opened the door, he saw me holding the laptop, curled up on the living room rug, typing away while the room was filled with the aroma of meat. "You're back." Hearing the door open, I looked up at him for a moment, while my hands kept on typing. Very skillfully, Qin Buliang placed the fruits next to the tea table and curiously walked closer to take a look, discovering that I was opening a document file. Looking closely, it turned out I was writing a web novel. I think I've completely forgotten my major, but fortunately, I still remember other things I learned before. Plus, since I often read novels, I'm quite familiar with this field. "I plan to try writing web novels, you don't mind, right?" I asked, while my hands kept on typing without stopping. Clearly, it was just a courtesy question. Qin Buliang found this to be reasonable, not expecting me to make money anyway. "I don't know if it'll work out. As long as you're happy. I know you don't care much about this kind of stuff. And probably don't understand it either." I had to change the subject. "The ribs are already stewing on the stove. It'll probably be another hour before we can eat. Just go ahead and do your work." Qin Buliang nodded. After showering and changing his clothes, he went into his room and didn't come out again. An hour later, I knocked on his door to call him out to eat. On the table were 2 bowls of rice. The dishes were quite abundant with red and green colors looking very appetizing. I even carved flowers for decoration. One glance, and you could tell a lot of effort went into preparing it. This is my first time making sweet and sour pork ribs. I don't know if it tastes good. Try it and see if it's no good, I'll go pickle some cucumbers. I sat opposite him. Chin Buliang picked up his bowl and said, ever since my parents passed away during my college years, I had always lived alone, influenced by my parents. My standard for quality of life wasn't too high, but it was absolutely not low either. The house was always cleaned on a regular basis. Whenever I was free, I would cook for myself. My lifestyle was very disciplined, so my life skills were not a problem at all. Saying this right now was also just out of courtesy. I wouldn't dare to say my cooking is excellent, but it definitely meets the standard of a home-cooked meal. Before, when friends gathered, they all praised me, receiving quite a lot of compliments. Chin Buliang picked up a piece, ate it, and then nodded. It's quite delicious. That's good, then please eat more. These past few days, life has been a chaotic mess. You haven't been able to eat well or sleep peacefully. It's been hard on you. I poured the lemon tea steeped this morning and pushed it toward him. The lemon tea has a bit of honey added all to replenish vitamin C. Just drink as much as you can, Tet. As long as you don't complain about it being sour. Chin Buliang kept observing with his eyes, always feeling like the woman in front of him had completely changed. Totally different from the investigation reports, and even from the 2 years of living together in the past. But he truly had never paid attention to her either. So he didn't dare assert that the old information was fully comprehensive and flawless. He could only suppress the doubt in his heart. Chin Buliang took a sip of the lemon tea and replied, it's been hard on you. It's nothing. I stay at home all day out of the rain, the sun, and the wind. You're outside facing so many things. It must be really tough. Please eat more. I smiled. Actually, just thinking about it makes one understand. The Chin family used to be a powerful and wealthy clan. When Elder Master Chin was around, who dared to offend them? And Chin Buliang had been an elite ever since he was a child. So many people grew up with their parents using him as a benchmark. The amount of accumulated resentment from that must be massive. Now that Elder Master Chin is no longer here, the other people in the Chin family only think of ways to tear the Chin family apart. With the remaining forces, they wish for Chin Buliang to collapse quickly. There is no way they would lend a helping hand. Others also just want to swallow up the assets. They love kicking Chin Buliang while he's down, to see the person they once had to look up to being trampled under their own feet. Honestly, when reading the novel, I didn't understand why Chin Buliang was always determined not to let his friends help him. Clearly, if he just accepted the assistance, he wouldn't have ended up exposed to such an extent. Regrettably, their relationship isn't that good right now either, so I'm also too embarrassed to ask. Thinking that Chin Buliang used to be a big shot after all. Maybe he has his own hidden difficulties. How Chin Buliang felt about the meal is unclear, but I myself was very satisfied eating it. I guess Chin Buliang probably didn't hate the food I cooked either, because he finished a whopping 2 bowls straight. Just leave the dishes in the kitchen, no need to touch them. I'll wash them when I wake up from my afternoon nap. Afterward, I threw the dishes into the kitchen sink, washed the fruits, and brought them out to the tea table, continuing to sit there typing out things I used to write. The speed was naturally very fast, plus the typing speed I had trained before. This morning, I already finished a 2,000-word outline. At this rate, I expect to finish 20,000 words tomorrow and can submit the draft. I plan to take advantage of the time before getting the results, to write a few more drafts casting a wide net, to catch more fish. We are currently in a special period, and really need money. I'm not familiar with business, so I can only try to earn some extra money. To ease the mental pressure, Chin Buliang went back to his room, closing the door, not knowing what he was doing inside. At nearly 1:30 p.m., I forced myself to shut down and take a nap. The living room instantly became quiet. Inside his room, Chin Buliang hesitated for a moment, before texting his underling Little Sai. Let's wait and see how she behaves first. Hold off on investigating her background. For now, it's only been 2 days. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Let's wait a bit longer. Less than an hour later, the alarm went off and I crawled out of bed, feeling a bit dizzy in the head. Dragging my slippers into the bathroom, I saw the door was tightly shut, silently cursing myself for mindlessly closing the door. I casually grabbed the doorknob and pulled the door open, then stepped inside. Looking up, I bumped right into the person inside. I blinked once, then blinked again, expressionlessly pulling the door shut. Then, holding back my embarrassment, I shouted to the person inside, "Sorry." I was half asleep and thought I was the only one here. After shouting, I covered my face and ran back to my room, shutting the door. I really wanted to slap myself to death, running right into my contract husband while he was using the bathroom. How incredibly embarrassing. It took me a while to calm down. Opening the room door to walk out, Chin Buliang happened to step out at the same time. The two of us bumped into each other face to face again. Even though we were a few meters apart, Chin Buliang cleared his throat. "Don't worry about it. This house is small, we'll be bumping into each other from now on. Just getting used to it will be fine." "Yes, getting used to it is fine." I nodded repeatedly, then asked curiously, "You're not going out today?" "I finished today's work. I'm not going anywhere else this afternoon." Kim Bulyang had just finished speaking, by the way, during the days I'm away. "Is there anything you need my help with?" "If you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have remembered. Now that you mention it, I remember right away. The balcony light and the drying rack seem to be broken. Can you fix them?" I wasn't entirely sure in my heart, though these are basic skills for men. For a big shot like Chin Bulyang, he'd probably replace broken things with new ones rather than fix them. In his past life, he probably didn't have this skill. Kim Bulyang paused. "Let me try. Let me take a look at it first. If it doesn't work, I can call a repairman to fix it later." Originally, I was planning to do exactly that. Kim Bulyang suddenly stopped his steps, his voice flat. "I haven't even looked at it yet." "All right." The big boss also needs to save face. I should wait until he finishes looking at it and knows he can't fix it before saying that. My slip of the tongue just hurt his pride. I didn't dare to say anything reckless anymore, thinking the big shot wasn't familiar with these things. I hurriedly went to the living room, grabbed the toolbox, and handed it over. Kim Bulyang was lowering the drying rack, checking the connectors on both sides. "The tools are all here. If you need any help, just call me. I'm going to go type now." I already dared to bet. Not wanting to see the big shot lose face, I dropped the tools and left a casual comment, then went out to the living room to continue typing. Not hearing any noise from the balcony, it wasn't clear how the other guy was fixing the things. I opened the browser to do a quick lookup. Contacting local repairmen around here, writing it down in the notebook on the tea table, then opened the laptop to continue typing. I gradually got very absorbed in my typing, completely forgetting about the matter out on the balcony, waiting until I finished typing. In the middle of the afternoon, Chin Bulyang came out of my room, carrying the toolbox in his hand. He immediately saw the notebook on the table. Looking closely again, it had a few phone numbers for repairs written down. He didn't say anything at all. I suddenly felt very embarrassed, silently reaching out my hand to close the notebook. "How is it? Is it fixed yet?" "It's completely fixed." "Go ahead and put the toolbox back in its old place." "Is there anything else?" That's all. Chin Bulyang stood in front of me and didn't leave. I asked anxiously, "What's wrong?" "Is there something else, Chin?" Kim Bulyang said seriously. "Even though I lived in the Chin family since childhood, it's not to the point where I don't even know. Basic life skills, so if there's anything around the house, just tell me directly. I don't only know how to make money." I got it." Looking at the big shot's serious expression, I actually found him quite adorable. This man, whether his business succeeds or fails, his looks are truly flawless. He is the most handsome man under the author's pen. Even with an expressionless face, he is still incredibly handsome. I think my ability to face this man without my heart fluttering is truly impressive. Chin Bulyang finished speaking, gave me a meaningful look, and then went back to his room. I suddenly realized the problem and hurriedly ran to his room door. "What do you want to eat tonight?" A warm voice echoed from inside. "Anything is fine. I'm not picky." It seems the big shot is also easy to feed. I was being silly again. I went back to the tea table to continue writing. Another page was finished. I suddenly remembered the secondhand platform, quickly opening the app to check. Oh my god, 12 bags and 2 sets of clothes have already been sold. I wasn't familiar with luxury brand prices, so when listing them initially, I looked up the prices online first, then slashed them by 20% before posting. Most of these items were still brand new, but fearing the big shot needed money urgently, I didn't dare set the prices high. I was originally worried these items were too expensive and no one would buy them, but I didn't expect them to sell so fast. I wrote down the delivery addresses. After saving the file, I went into the room to find the bags and clothes. Since there was quite a lot of stuff to send, I called a courier to pick them up. Half an hour passed and everything was packed. The courier also arrived. Chin Bulyang probably heard the noise opening his door to ask, "What are you doing?" Sensing something unusual, Chin Bulyang frowned slightly. I let the courier write down the information, answering without looking up. "There are too many old clothes and handbags. I don't go out now anyway, keeping them just clutters the house." I sorted some out to sell. "These are the items sold today. I need to ship them to the buyer soon." Kim Bulyang grabbed my hand. "No need. Things haven't reached the point where you have to sell your stuff." I spoke hesitantly. "Mainly it's just because they take up too much space. Besides, they are all out of style anyway. Keeping them is useless to me, so I might as well sell them for cash. That way, if I see a new product I like in the future, I can still buy it." Saying it like that should save enough face for the big boss, right? I think I'm being quite considerate, not knowing which words touch the big boss. Kim Bulyang held my hand for a moment, then let go and didn't stop me anymore. Only saying, "All right. Later you can buy a new one." Who would dare buy a new one? A single bag costs tens of thousands, which is enough for me to live on for half a year. Buying a few bags means I'd be eating dirt. While I was grumbling in my heart, I didn't show it on the outside at all. Men all need their face after all. I smiled. "I'll wait for you to buy me a new bag in the future." Kim Bulyang was dazzled by the smile on this face that was once familiar but recently felt so foreign. 1023. Looking down at the boxes on the floor. Looking down at the boxes on the floor, he bent down to help the courier put them into a large bag, waiting until the courier had left. Qin Buliang finally asked me how much I planned to sell. I thought for a moment. Originally, there were over 100 bags, and over 80 sets of clothes. Among them, over 70 bags were already unboxed. I planned to sell them all. As for the rest, I'll sell over 30 of them, and keeping 20 is enough for me. For the clothes, I'll keep about 30 sets, and sell off all the rest. I thought the big boss would stop me, but unexpectedly, Qin Buliang just nodded, and didn't say anything more. He casually grabbed an apple and sat on the sofa to peel it. I couldn't guess what he was thinking, nor did I know if doing this would hurt his male pride. But survival is way more important than these thoughts. Even if he minds, there's nothing I can do. This morning, I already did some research. Housing prices in Wenli have only gone up by half. I don't know what the big boss's plans are, or if he can really make a comeback in the future, but no matter what, I must buy a house first. Selling the bags and clothes is enough to pay the down payment. After that, I'll give the remaining money to the big boss. I'll just pay the installment myself, and that'll be it. That way, even if the big boss can't make a comeback, we won't end up with nowhere to live. My mind was drifting with thoughts. Curled up by the tea table, staring blankly at the screen. Suddenly, a peeled apple appeared before my eyes. The fragrance of the apple was so sweet. The peel was cut so evenly and beautifully. I unconsciously swallowed my saliva. Then Qin Buliang handed the apple right in front of me. Is this for me? I pointed at myself. Qin Buliang pushed the apple a bit closer again. Sorry to trouble you. I was truly overwhelmed by this unexpected favor. The legendary big boss had never been close to women. A guy who didn't have an ounce of patience for women was now peeling an apple for me. And it was even this beautiful, truly astonishing. I hurriedly took the apple. I expressed it was nothing, since it was bought with your money anyway. You didn't blame me for being wasteful before. I'm already very grateful, Qin. Buliang saw me smile. His face, which was usually, though not overly cold, was still hard to get close to, suddenly cracked a smile. I stared blankly at him. How can there be such a handsome man in this world? Rest assured, I'll definitely buy you more bags in the future. I unconsciously nodded. When I snapped back to reality, my face was a bit red. I believe you will definitely make a comeback. Don't rush. I'll wait for you. When that time comes, you can buy bags for me again. After saying that, I even pumped my fist to cheer him on. Fighting, you can definitely do it. Qin Buliang just smiled like that, stood up and went back to his room, where I couldn't see. A hint of amusement flashed in his eyes. I kept on grinding hard for the whole afternoon, finally finishing over 10,000 words. I cooked porridge and stir-fried some vegetables. The two of us had a quick casual meal, then minded our own business. That night, I grinded, all the way until 12 o'clock. I finished 20,000 words. The next morning after eating, I went to take care of handling the manuscript. Browsing the second-hand web to check, wow, another 8 bags were sold. And one outfit, it felt as if money was constantly flowing into my pocket. I was in a very good mood. Just after finishing the manuscript and intending to go out, I heard a knock on the door. Who is it? I stood up to open the door, hearing that it was a woman outside. It's Zhang Fei here. Who on earth is Zhang Fei? While opening the door, I searched through my memory, thinking for a long time but still couldn't remember this person. Opening the door and looking out, there was only her. Possessing a fashionable kind of beauty. The moment she saw me, she began judging, looking me up and down from head to toe. It was incredibly annoying. Aren't you going to invite me in to sit? Zhang Fei said and squeezed past me. I didn't know who that was, so I hurriedly stopped her. Who are you looking for? If you are Shi Fei Ye, then I am exactly looking for you. She squeezed her body inside. Is Brother Qin not here? Since the opponent had already come inside, it was hard for me to kick her out. I had to close the door and politely pour tea to welcome the guest. He left since early this morning. What are you looking for me for? Of course there is something. To be honest though, you look okay. You have no class at all. With Brother Qin's capability, marrying you is truly a waste. I know it's because his grandfather wanted to repay a debt of gratitude that he let him marry you. You've been married for years, with no children and being of no help at all. All day long, just spending money wastefully, knowing how to do nothing. Don't you feel embarrassed? I interrupted her. Allow me to ask a bold question. What are you to Qin Buliang? Zhang Fei proudly tilted her chin. We are childhood sweethearts. He is very good to me. If not for you, we would probably have been together already. I recalled for a very long time, but still couldn't find the name Zhang Fei. Why have I never heard your name? Young. What nonsense. Why on earth would he mention me to you if they were childhood sweethearts? Then Qin Buliang indeed wouldn't mention it to a cannon fodder. Firstly, because they weren't close. Secondly, he didn't have the time either. I nodded. So what is your purpose in coming here? Currently, Brother Qin needs help. Why are you still holding him back? My father has already agreed. As long as we get married, he will help him make a comeback. So you should get a divorce. If Miss Kin wants a divorce, she can directly tell me. Why go through you? I'm not a thick-skinned person. Or is this just your own idea? Zhongfei glared at me, looking very disgusted. Brother Qin, why would he proactively do that? He's just embarrassed to say it. You must take the initiative. You spent so much of his money and haven't helped with anything over the past few years. He has never made things difficult for you. Now that he is facing trouble, even if you can't help, at least don't drag him down. Take the initiative to divorce him. He will just go with the flow, and both sides can save face. Is this Qin Buliang's idea? I focused on the main point to confirm. This is my idea. Why don't you understand yet? Brother Qin wouldn't do that himself. Right now, we must take the initiative to help. You divorce him so that I can marry him. Only then will my father help. I immediately shook my head. If this were Qin Buliang's idea, I wouldn't mind getting a divorce at all. But you said this is your own idea, so I want to ask you something. Before I married Qin Buliang, were you and he lovers? Did he love you? Zhongfei froze as she was drinking water. That doesn't matter. He was never good at expressing himself anyway. Besides, it's not like he loves you either. Only I can help him, while you only know how to drag him down. I'm 100 times more compatible with him than you are. I shook my head again. Maybe I don't fully understand his character, but I dare say for sure he would never accept that kind of help, especially when this help has to be traded for marriage. With you, you think helping him is good for him, without considering that if he relies on your father's influence to make a comeback, how can he stand firm in the future? He would forever bear the reputation of relying on women to get rich. I truly don't know Qin Buliang that well, but I believe the villain in the book is not someone who likes to be a freeloader. In fact, if he were willing to submit, he wouldn't have encountered so many hardships. How could a man like that use marriage as a bargaining chip in exchange for making a comeback? At least not in the short term. As for the marriage between him and me, it was completely to repay a debt of gratitude, whether Qin Buliang accepted it for his grandfather or for his own life. This is completely different from your case. People will not criticize him but praise him for being loyal. Furthermore, he has always been the one in power, without making him feel awkward. Actually, I don't mind getting a divorce, but it's not because I'm being instigaged by someone else, using the excuse of being good for him to force me. I expressed my stance. What Qin Buliang wants to do is his business. I completely respect him. Zhongfei, as if her tail was stepped on, instantly blew up. You just want to drag him down? How can you be so selfish? Brother Qin has already been too kind to you. Now he finally has a chance. But you want to crush that chance. You truly disgust people. Shifaye's face turned cold. Am I disgusting, miss? I've already been too polite to you. Not to mention the fact that you ran over here to say such unpleasant things. Anyone who didn't know would think you're a homewrecker, ruining someone else's family. The marriage between me and Qin Buliang is none of an outsider's business. Even if you genuinely have good intentions to help him, you shouldn't run over here to talk to me. If you want to help go find him, I can't make decisions about his affairs. It's not like I'm stalking him either. As for this matter of not divorcing, if you think about it a little, you'll see. If he really loved you before coming to find me, why didn't you two get married if you say the feelings weren't there yet? Why weren't you two even dating? You keep insisting that he is not a betrayer, but your actions right now are clearly betraying him on his behalf. Furthermore, you are only satisfying your personal desires, without considering the reality for him at all. Yes, I don't see you loving him at all. I only see a person wanting to satisfy selfish desires, along with a woman who thinks she is deeply affectionate. Zhongfei's face turned completely red. On what grounds do you say that? You, a woman who only knows how to spend money? On what grounds do you scold me? I lifted my head and puffed out my chest. On the grounds that I am still his legal wife. As long as I am his wife for one day, I have the right to speak to anyone who wants to interfere in our marriage. In the past, I only knew how to spend money on shopping and couldn't help with anything for him. But in the past, he also agreed to let me buy things. He is a grown adult who even carried the entire Qin group. A mature man. When he married me, he must have already thought these things through. Even he doesn't mind. So what are you rushing for? If you want to marry him, go talk to him. As long as the two of you reach an agreement, I absolutely won't say a single word and will divorce immediately. I absolutely won't make things difficult, let alone trouble him. If you come here to talk to me, I won't agree to it. Zhongfei slammed her cup hard on the table in anger. You are truly shameless. I was no longer angry, casually playing with my own cup. You are the one who wants to destroy someone else's marriage, and you don't even feel ashamed. Yo. Where did you get the nerve to scold me? I don't know what shame is. Since you think I'm shameless, I guess our conversation is a waste of breath. I only have one stance. I will not proactively suggest a divorce. If you want us to get a divorce, yeah, go find him yourself. If he wants to divorce me, I won't hesitate to sign the papers today. Zhongfei was so angry that she gasped for breath. In the end, it's just that you don't want to divorce. I nodded. You can just think that I don't want to divorce then. Receiving a definitive answer, and knowing she couldn't achieve her goal today, Zhongfei directly grabbed her handbag next to her and stormed off in a rage. Before leaving, she turned around and cursed at me, "You butch. Just you wait, Brother Qin will dump you sooner or later." The door slammed shut once again. I let out a soft sigh. It's one thing for the male lead to be popular, but even the villain is loved this much. 1296. Not only do I have to help the cannon fodder repay the big shot, but I also have to deal with the women throwing themselves at him. It's truly not easy, if not for my guilty conscience. I actually really want to get a divorce, but that's just a thought. I can't just take over someone else's body and act like it's a given, let alone spend all his money. And then when he hits rock bottom and loses his fortune, just abandon him. Though that money wasn't actually spent by me, right now on paper he is still my husband. Forget it, making money is the ultimate truth. If I keep overthinking, I'll just check my bank account balance again, or recalculate my monthly expenses. Nothing is more tragic than having no money to spend. Putting this matter aside, I opened the app to check the addresses and styles, then began searching through my room for the bags that had been sold. Once everything was properly sorted, I called the shipper. The items sold today need to be shipped out early too. Calculating the total value of these sold items, it comes out to over 200,000 RMB. Once the customers receive their items, my bank account will get a nice little boost. Selling a few more later on, I can buy a small apartment by making a down payment. That way, I'll have a house in the city. Thinking about this, I'm suddenly bursting with motivation. Though I'm not buying a house just yet, I still opened the web to start checking out property listings in the city. The very first house must be chosen carefully. After browsing for a while, it was almost noon. I hadn't even had time to check the app, so I need to hurry up and cook. This morning, Big Shot Qin told me he'd be back for lunch before leaving. It's all my fault for getting too caught up in thinking about the future that I forgot to check the time. For lunch, I planned to make wontons. The filling was prepared early on, and the wrappers have been bought too. I brought everything out to the dining room table to wrap them. In my past life, I used to make this often when I was free, so my handling was extremely skilled, almost like a rhythmic habit. Each took only a few seconds, and in no time, I wrapped 20 of them. While I was wrapping, Big Shot Qin came back. I was too focused on wrapping to even look up. "You're back." Big Shot Qin stood at the door calling out. He just watched my wrapping movements, not quite sure what I was doing. He instinctively asked, "What are you doing?" I answered naturally, "Wrapping wontons." "We're having wontons for lunch, and I'll pan fry some pancakes too. No need to worry about not being full enough." Pan frying pancakes and wrapping wontons, this wasn't something a girl who only knew how to make ordinary meals could do. The suspicion in Qin's heart resurfaced once again. But right after that, seeing me sitting there quietly, skillfully wrapping the wontons, the sunlight gently shining through the white curtain casting over my body, as if enveloping me in the light, it felt incredibly peaceful, making him feel like there was nothing worth worrying about. "It's been a long time since I last ate this dish." Qin unconsciously blurted out those words. Then, with a strange look on his face, he immediately shut his mouth, pretending as if nothing happened, and went to wash his hands. I didn't notice that strangeness at all. I really love eating wontons too. Thinking back to the previous period, the Big Shot was busy with a million things. How could he have the peace of mind to care about eating and drinking? Furthermore, it's just wanting to eat wontons. Not eating them for a long time is also normal. So, do you want to eat a bit more? If you want to eat more, I'll cook some more later. If not, I'll cook less and wrap the rest, carefully to store in the fridge. In case we're busy some other day, we can just take them out to cook. Qin Buliang, then cook a little more. He finished washing his hands and told me so. It had been a long time since he ate local snacks. The last time he ate them was already 3 or 4 years ago. If I hadn't suddenly brought it up, he wouldn't even have realized how long it had been since he took a break, even just for a brief moment. "Then I'll cook more later," I said while smiling, my hands still constantly working, making him feel dazed. A life full of hope and small happiness. Life is what you make it. Being able to live again is already a stroke of luck. Every gift from life needs to be cherished. Being able to sit here wrapping wontons and eating wontons is exactly where the joy lies. Nearly an hour later, 2 bowls of piping hot wontons were served on the table. Qin Buliang was called out by me, instantly seeing 2 incredibly fragrant bowls of wontons. Sprinkled with scallions, cilantro, and dried shrimp, the wontons were plump and cute. Just looking at them made one crave them. In addition, there was a plate of thin pancakes and some side dishes. I had already sat down. Tilting my head to gesture for Qin Buliang to sit, my face bloomed into a smile full of anticipation. "Give it a try. I think the wontons I wrap are super delicious." "I don't know how big your appetite is. Wontons alone might not be filling enough, so that's why I made these wraps too. By the way, do you eat wraps?" Qin Buliang found it a bit amusing upon hearing this, but he didn't let it show on his face at all. Of course, I'm a normal human being too. After saying that, he sat down and tasted one. After savoring it, he praised that the flavor was pretty good. Stop smiling and look at me. I told you the wontons I wrap are super delicious. Mainly because I just love eating them myself. Since they're this good, you should eat more. The eating speed of the two of us wasn't the same. Even though Chin Buliang ate twice as much as I did, we still finished eating at the exact same time. This time, when I was about to go wash the bowls, he suddenly spoke up, "Let me buy a dishwasher for you." Carrying the bowls into the kitchen, I instantly froze, hurriedly refusing. No need. It's just washing a few bowls, it doesn't take much effort at all. It's a 3 to 5 minute job, no need to waste money like that. It doesn't cost much anyway. It's fine. I briefly showed a slightly conflicted look on my face. He asked in surprise, "What's wrong, so?" The big shot still hasn't adjusted his mindset yet, not realizing that we are no longer as rich as before. I was debating whether I should gently remind him, but looking at that handsome, slightly oblivious face, the words of reminder I was about to say instantly changed right at the tip of my tongue. All right then. I'll go buy one later. You don't need to worry about it. I'm very picky, so it'll probably take me a long time to choose. After saying that, my heart kept sighing. Being handsome truly has its perks. I couldn't bring myself to say anything that would hurt the big shot's self-esteem. Anyway, since I said I'm picky choosing for a long time without finding the right one is also a completely normal thing. Kim Buliang looked at my conflicted expression and suddenly understood in his heart what I was worried about. For a moment, he felt a strange sensation in his heart. In the first half of his life, even when forced by his grandfather, having to suffer from a tight budget. But since completing his trials at age 15, he had never tasted actual poverty. This time, it wasn't that he lacked money, but rather that his nominal wife thought he was poor. But even so, she didn't say a single word to make things awkward for him. This feeling was truly unique. He wasn't even sure what he was thinking himself. Kim Buliang didn't say anything to me, only mentioning he had things to do before heading to his room, leaving me to wash the dishes by myself. I find this life quite nice. While washing dishes, I even hummed along, singing and thinking about how now I have a roof over my head, food to eat, and the bags and clothes are selling like hotcakes. Soon I'll have a small apartment of my own. Life ahead will definitely get better. The big shot's capabilities are not an issue. Making a comeback is only a matter of time. When that day comes, who knows, maybe he'll see that we didn't kick him while he was down, but even chipped in some money. Don't forget the big shot. Even when falling from grace, was never stingy. When he has money in the future, he'll definitely give more. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Even if the big shot doesn't succeed later, it's fine. I can temporarily support the household with the big shot as a friend. I won't have to worry about running into trouble with no one to look out for me. The big shot definitely won't be down on his luck forever. Once life stabilizes, whenever he wants a divorce, I'll agree to it, and then slowly find someone suitable. Protecting each other in peace is also nice. Time to rest. I went shopping again to prepare for my afternoon nap. At this moment, the big shot suddenly opened his door, walked out and sat down next to the sofa. "Did Zhangfei make things difficult for you today?" After I finished saving my file, I finally took my eyes off the screen to look at Chin Buliang. "You noticed?" I hesitated a bit at his question. "It wasn't exactly making things difficult. It's just that he told me to divorce you." I refused because I figured you two have nothing going on. If you actually like him, so we can get a divorce at any time. Between cooking and eating, I completely forgot about this matter. Oh, she also said her dad could help you as long as you two get married. As soon as I finished speaking, Kim Buliang calmly said, "There is nothing between her and me. I won't divorce you because of her either. You did well. We'll handle other matters later. I don't temporarily need anyone else's help. Her father can't even carry his own weight in these matters, let alone solve anything." I nodded. The computer was turned off. I was planning to take an afternoon nap. "I got it." "I thought so too. Do you have anything else?" Kim Buliang looked at me, probing her. "Since when did you have the habit of taking an afternoon nap?" I thought to myself, uh-oh, we're cooked. Before the cannon fodder completely flipped her sleep schedule, I hurriedly replied, "Ever since I came here, I've been living a regular life." The difference was truly huge. Well, I just suddenly realized my past living habits were not good. My physical health is quite weak. I can force myself to adjust. Though at first, I couldn't sleep. It got better yesterday. Actually, you should try taking an afternoon nap too. See, you'll be more alert in the afternoon and work more efficiently. Kim Buliang showed an unreadable expression. "Then go rest." Having said that, he stood up and went back to his room, leaving me standing there thinking anxiously. I didn't say anything wrong, did I, Yik? Before the cannon fodder's routine was irregular, flipping day and night. He couldn't say I was wrong. I just adjusted my schedule. That's all, facing a major life crisis. Who wouldn't change at some point? Kim Buliang entered his room, expressionlessly sitting in front of his desk. He gently tapped the desk, lost in thought. After a moment, he still hadn't seemed to make up his mind. So he opened his phone to call someone. In the next few days, buy a dishwasher and ship it to me. There are a few things that need further consideration. Before that, just keep the status quo. After hanging up, Keen Bulyang put his phone on the desk, accidentally glancing at the bed next to him. In his mind, he recalled what I had just said. Is an afternoon nap really that good? Before he could snap out of it, he had unconsciously lain down on the bed, feeling his body relax. Keen Bulyang curled his lips. It seemed like the feeling was indeed pretty good. The last time he took an afternoon nap was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Busy with all kinds of things over the past few years, he hadn't had a good, peaceful sleep in a long time. Unknowingly, it was already 2:30 p.m. I turned the doorknob of my room and walked out, giving a long stretch. Just as I stepped out of the restroom, I saw Big Shot Chin coming out of his room. His eyes still had a bit of a dazed look as they locked. With that face of his, for 3 minutes it was enough to charm a crowd of women. I suddenly blushed. Oh my god, how does he still look like this right after waking up? He's way too handsome to think someone like you is a villain. The author must have put so much effort into designing this villain, yet in the end gave him such a tragic ending. What a shame. Thinking this in my heart, I didn't realize my face accidentally revealed a bit of it, which was caught by Chin Bulyang. That face full of deep pity seemed to catch Chin Bulyang off guard. He immediately withdrew his gaze. Do you need to use the restroom? I hurriedly made way. No. I'm already done. Go ahead. Waiting for Chin Bulyang to go in, I sat back down in front of the computer and started typing. As soon as I opened the app, I saw someone added me. Checking the note, it turned out to be an editor from the literature site. I instinctively clenched both hands, doing a let's go gesture and whispering, it definitely passed the initial review. If it didn't pass the initial review, the editor wouldn't waste time adding my contact info. Keen Bulyang heard the commotion outside. After washing his hands, he came out and asked, what's wrong? My mood was soaring high, so without thinking, I blurted out, the web novel passed, it passed the initial review. Just waiting for the second and final reviews, say. And then I can start making some money? Keen Bulyang looked at my sparkling eyes that seemed to be waiting for a compliment. His expression softened slightly as he said, is that so? Then congratulations. Let's celebrate together. I smiled incredibly brightly, looking quite cute to him. After saying that, I ignored him and immersed myself back into the world of web novels, continuing to lower my head and type on the keyboard. Just glancing over briefly, I knew I was currently bursting with motivation. Keen Bulyang went back to the restroom, his brows furrowing slightly, thinking that even if someone were to fake it, they couldn't fake this. That pure gaze currently in my eyes no longer held the past desires, greed, confusion, and depravity, as all of that negative energy had completely vanished. For a person to suddenly undergo such a massive change, changing so much that it's like they became a different person. Unfortunately, nobody could give him an answer to this. He decisively stopped thinking about it. After washing his face, he got ready to head out. Before leaving, he glanced at me. I was still completely immersed in the web novel. The corners of my mouth curled into a very happy smile. Maybe I should investigate this. Chin Bulyang made up his mind. He didn't want to waste time and effort on a problem that should have been settled long ago. If I had truly seen the light and willingly changed, then keeping me around wouldn't matter too much since we are still husband and wife on paper, and I hadn't done anything to cross his line yet. I was completely unaware of his decision, still completely overjoyed. My web novel already passed the initial review, and before the joy could even fade, my other web novel passed as well. The other novel passed too. Talk about sitting at home and having a massive dub fall straight from the sky. Thinking about how I'm about to make bank, and how money is currently calling our names. I felt absolutely blissful. That money from selling the secondhand items, I always felt like it wasn't mine, but rather given to the cannon fodder by Chin Bulyang. Now that the cannon fodder is gone, it should be considered Big Shot Chin's money. I want to buy a house in the future, registering it under my own name. Big Shot Chin probably won't fight me for it, in case something happens to him in the future. At least we'll still have a final place to stay. I don't intend to claim that house entirely as my own, as I'll use my own money for the mortgage. By then, the house can be considered as belonging to both of us. If I have extra money to spare later on, I'll save up to buy another one. If Big Shot Chin wants that house, then consider it as him owing me money, which he can slowly pay back later. Anyway, I won't press him for the debt too hard. Consider it as paying back Big Shot Chin for not abandoning me right now. My plans for the future had been clearly laid out by me. I happily opened the selling app, and damn, a few more items were sold. In the afternoon, I called someone to pick up the packages. The shipper shyly asked, Miss Shi, do you run an online shop? These bags look super high-end. If possible, could you sell me one on the cheap? I plan to give it as a gift to my girlfriend. I felt a bit embarrassed. I'm so sorry. But I don't run an online shop. I'm just helping a friend ship these out. The price of these bags isn't cheap at all. They are all over 10,000 RMB. With such a large amount of money, I can't make the call. If you need, I can ask for you. The shipper was shocked. Over 10,000. Oh my god, so these are all luxury goods. Well, I'm not too sure either. Probably anyway, they are all very expensive. Just as I was talking, the elevator door next to us suddenly opened, and Chin Buliang stepped out. The words I had just said. Kim Buliang had heard every single bit. Chin Buliang walked to the door. What's wrong? Fearing that Chin Buliang didn't know the context and might say something wrong, I hurriedly replied, it's nothing. The delivery guy wanted to buy a bag, but the bag isn't mine, so I was planning to help him ask my friend to see if they could give a little discount. The delivery guy was a bit intimidated by Chin Buliang, plus the bag's price completely exceeded his budget, so he immediately backed out. No, it's fine. If these bags are luxury goods, then never mind, I'm just an ordinary guy. I can't afford to use such a high-end bag anyway. Is this all the packages for today? If this is all, I'll pack them up and leave right away. I have to go deliver packages in a bit. I said, yes, that's all. Sorry for the trouble. I knew this amount compared to the batch before was indeed a little bit less. But the types of bags the cannon fodder bought were quite a lot. Some were bestsellers, while some were more niche. So right at the beginning, they always sold the fastest. The further it goes, the harder it is to sell. No trouble at all. He carried the bags away because of that matter, and even the washing machine felt bad for him. I only just realized I was blocking the door, making it so Chin Buliang couldn't get inside. I hurriedly stepped aside to make way, so Chin Buliang could come inside and then asked out of curiosity, how come you're back so fast? While changing his shoes and putting away his coat, Chin Buliang casually asked me there wasn't much work today. Why did you say the bags belonged to someone else? I explained that saying they were mine wasn't convenient. We live here, and the security situation is still unclear. If our wealth gets exposed, it'll be very dangerous. And besides, the delivery guy has been here a few times already, so he's considered a familiar face now. We'll still need him later. If I choose carefully, it'll lessen any resentment. What if the goods get swapped instead? Even though it can be handled through the official process, in the end, it's still a hassle. You can know a person's face, but not their heart. Yeah, if we give away too much, we'll lose out. Right now, we aren't as well off as before. Plus, with my average talents, it's really not worth causing trouble over. I said a few words about my intentions. Spilling everything, Chin Buliang saw the person in front of him, as if she had completely turned into a different person. The Shifei from before wasn't sharp at all, always getting scammed whenever she bought things, going out without a single shred of caution. He had been reminded by his brothers so many times that he ended up marrying such a fool who couldn't even buy things right. But look at me right now. From just a small negligible matter, I could actually calculate everything so thoroughly, no longer showing any of that past foolishness. Chin Buliang's words sounded casual. That's very thoughtful. Saying that it's impossible. Life isn't easy. Even though one must have kindness, they also need to stay vigilant for a matter that's this easy to solve. Don't invite extra trouble upon yourself. I was already used to taking care of things myself, mastering every single survival skill, and my guard against outsiders was always up. I completely failed to notice anything wrong with my behavior, so I didn't see the dark gaze that flashed briefly in Chin Buliang's eyes. Oh right. In a few days, there's a banquet we need to attend together. Get ready early. Chin Buliang took off his coat and hung it on the wall. Changing his shoes and stepping inside, I suddenly grew tense. A banquet, I've never seriously attended one. Will my going this time cause trouble for you? It wasn't that I hadn't seriously attended one, but rather that I had never been to one at all. For Big Shot Chin to attend a banquet, without even asking, it's obviously a business banquet. A nobody like me. Who knows if I'll embarrass him? The few banquets I had attended were mostly year-end parties, and half of those were author events. As a web novel author, nothing troublesome ever happened to me, usually without me having to worry. The staff would have handled everything smoothly, arranging all matters perfectly. Suddenly, throwing such a hard challenge at me, I was afraid I couldn't handle it. Big Shot. Chin casually said, it's fine. At this point, no one dares to make things difficult for me anymore. Even if there's trouble, it won't amount to much. After saying that, he casually picked up a glass, pouring some water to drink, hearing that I felt a bit strange. In the past, everyone had to read Big Shot Chin's expressions. But now going to a banquet, it's probably us who have to read other people's expressions. The refusal that was on the tip of my tongue ended up as a nod. I agreed that I would prepare thoroughly. After all, we are a couple on paper. Big Shot Chin is out there grinding. So now it's time for me to face it with him. Even though I am not the original cannon fodder and didn't spend Big Shot Chin's money, I am currently occupying this body. So it's essentially the same thing. For the next 2 days, Big Shot Chin still left early and returned late. But he still ate home-cooked meals in the morning and evening. I also got used to preparing meals for Big Shot Chin while I spent my days selling things and looking up what to do when attending this kind of banquet. The tragedy is those with the power and opportunity to attend high-end banquets. No one is foolish enough to post these things online. So I searched for several days straight but couldn't find anything at all. Checking through the phone to see, there were quite a few numbers left behind by the former cannon fodder. Surely some among them would know about the banquets. The cannon fodder wasn't actually close to anyone. Just drinking buddies, contacting them now. Setting aside the fact that I'm an imposter, I'm just afraid they'll mock me. Asking like this makes it easy to slip up. If I dig through the memories, I'd find that aside from the initial wedding banquet, the cannon fodder, never attended another one afterward, it's truly too tragic. Clearly, she was afraid of Big Shot Chin not wanting the cannon fodder to go out and embarrass him, unable to do anything else. I had to solve the very first step, which was what to wear. Based on my memory, I searched through the closet and picked out a few outfits. Because I myself didn't know what was appropriate. Having no clue in my heart, I kept fussing around. I had to ask Big Shot Chin for help. That day, the moment Big Shot Chin entered the house, he saw me reading a novel. Not curled up on the sofa as usual, but staring intently at him the moment I heard the door open, with a very strange expression. Suddenly being stared at by me like that, he felt unaccustomed. What's the matter? Why did you lay out so many clothes? Big Shot, give me a hand, will you? It's been a while since I last went to a banquet. I have no idea how I should dress to fit in now. These are the ones I picked out that seem suitable for a banquet. See which outfit looks better? Regarding my own incompetence, I didn't bother hiding it anymore. Who knows what will happen in the future? Given the situation, it's hard to keep calm about this matter. Laying it all out clearly saves the trouble of future awkwardness. Didn't you like picking out your own dresses before, without thinking about how it would turn out? I remembered the behavior of the cannon fodder. Strangely, the environment changed so suddenly, and she was a bit sensitive, so she had to choose the dresses herself, to maintain a shred of dignity for herself. But now I've thought it through. A person is who they are. There's no need to be overly sensitive or fear being looked down upon. I'll just casually admit that I don't know. It seems you understand things very well. So help me see which dress is more suitable. I can't make up my mind. I gave up my spot to him, showing the dresses I chose earlier. Looking at the simple evening gowns on the chair, Kim Bulyang nodded in his mind. Whether she was being genuine or had other motives, at least her brain was no longer foolish. She was no longer picking those flashy outfits like before, acting as if she were going to a fashion show, making people not want to bring her along at all. He looked left and right, then casually pointed at a long-sleeved black dress that was quite discreet. Take this one. It's not an eyesore. I immediately realized that going to this banquet, we would definitely run into some unpleasant situations. Whether dressing well or badly, we'd be looked down upon, or even targeted and made things difficult for. So being a bit low-key could actually avoid some troubles. A very appropriate choice. I'm also very satisfied. Then I'll go with this one. I kept this gown out and put the rest away because I had considered this situation. The gowns in the cannon fodder's room. Whichever ones were still unopened, I kept them all. Don't movies always show that an evening gown can't be worn a second time? In case that's true, then I can't just keep wearing those few outfits over and over again. That would lose face for Brother Chin. Chin Bulyang casually asked. Aside from those brightly colored outfits, are there no other ones left? I lied and said I already sold them off. The remaining ones that haven't been unwrapped yet, I've kept them all. This wasn't easy. I just managed to pick these out from that pile of gowns. They are less flashy, right? If it's not suitable, I can fetch a few more. There are only these few dark-colored ones. There were only 6 outfits in total on the chair. He found it a bit hard to believe. How many outfits do you have left right now? I nodded. I just counted this morning 14 outfits. Kim Bulyang asked further. In total of all kinds, you managed to save 10. Yes, 14 outfits in total. That should be enough, right? The others I already took them to sell. The unopened ones are all hanging at the shop waiting to be sold. I probably won't be attending many banquets in the future anyway. Kim Bulyang didn't know what to say. Never mind then. Don't sell them anymore. You might need them later, having chosen the gown. Next up was makeup. This makeup issue gave me a headache too. In the past, I didn't really like researching it much. Most of the time, I just stayed at home. And my looks weren't overly gorgeous either, just the standard pleasant looking type. Since I had no motivation to go out, I rarely put on makeup. Now that I've come here, Shifeye was someone who loved putting on makeup and was quite well aware of her own beauty. If I suddenly didn't know how to do makeup, it would be very easy to blow my cover. Big Shot Chin would definitely suspect why. I didn't even know how to do the thing I was best at. Therefore, during these past few days, I would take advantage of when Chin Bulyang was away, sitting in my room all by myself, watching all kinds of makeup videos, then figuring out how to use the products in the room. Although I did try slapping it on my face a few times. Doing makeup is a whole different ballgame compared to drawing. When the day to go out finally arrived, I had been grinding in my room for a long time after changing my clothes. Just for the makeup alone, I fixed it 4 times. Only when it looked halfway decent did I finally step out. Outside, Chin Bulyang had already been sitting on the sofa for a while. Seeing me come out, he stopped leaning back and raised his head. The moment he raised his head, it was over. His brows tightly furrowed. My heart clenched. What's wrong? Yo, you okay? Is there something not right? The cannon fodder was originally very beautiful. Plus, she used to do her makeup all the time before, so her looks were completely unquestionable. It was just that her personality loved to cause trouble, never staying still, radiating chaotic energy all over. After putting on makeup, it became even worse. Previously, when at home without makeup, it was fine, as Chin Buliang had nothing to compare it to. Now that I've put on makeup, it's like my whole body suddenly turned on HD mode, instantly becoming radiant. No matter how straight of a guy Chin Buliang was, he could clearly feel the difference. That's why Chin Buliang asked that question. Didn't you used to put on makeup in your room? No. It's because I've been adjusting my schedule lately. I felt like before I caked too much cosmetics onto my face, which probably wasn't good for TikTok. Besides, I don't go out nowadays anyway, so I'm just giving it a bit of a rest. What's wrong, having not done it for a few days? Did I do my makeup terribly this time? I immediately found an excuse for my poor skills, giving myself a mental pat on the back. Keen Buliang stood up and said, "It's fine. You look much better now than before." I subconsciously touched my face. According to my memory, my skills were worse than the cannon fodders, by more than just a little bit. Why did Chin Buliang think I looked better than before? Could it be that I look more pleasing to his eyes now? When encountering a problem, that's the only way to interpret it, rather than me actually looking more beautiful. As long as the big shot doesn't suspect me, that's good enough, at least with those words. I don't have to worry about embarrassing myself when going out anymore, setting off for the banquet. Unlike in the past memories where someone picked her up, this time Chin Buliang drove me there himself. This was my first time sharing a car ride with Big Shot Chin, watching the city lights fade behind us. That surreal feeling welled up inside me once again, fearing that Chin Buliang might ask a tough question along the way. For me to answer, I intentionally sat in the back seat. However, even sitting in the back seat, I still couldn't escape the fate of having to talk. Seeing that I had no intention of starting a conversation, Chin Buliang spoke up himself. "You used to dress so scantily before, aren't you afraid of the cold?" I hurriedly replied, "It's fine. Since it's a long-sleeved dress anyway, it's not that cold yet." Chin Buliang turned the steering wheel. Noticing I was a bit tense through the rearview mirror, he suddenly felt an urge to tease me like back when he was a kid. "Really? I feel like you're acting a bit distant toward me." I instinctively replied, "How could that be? We have no grudges or hatred. And you treat me so well. I can't thank you enough." This is mainly because we barely interacted in the past, and lately we've been seeing each other every day. So I'm just a little unaccustomed to it. You'll slowly get used to it later. Buliang wanted to say something more, but seeing the woman in the mirror rubbing her arm, his fake smile vanished. Suddenly, he lost all interest in talking. Before the investigation results were clear, perhaps he shouldn't do too much. At least for now, it seemed. This nominal wife of his hadn't done anything to harm him, so he'd wait for the investigation results before speaking. The two didn't say anything more. Soon they arrived at the largest hotel in the city. After the valet drove the car away, Chin Buliang and I finally walked toward the entrance. We were intentionally blocked by someone ahead. I looked at the slightly chubby man in front of me, whose hair was slick with grease, and his arm was linked by a gorgeously dressed woman. Not knowing what the situation was, I turned to look at Chin Buliang. Chin Buliang didn't even spare a glance. Looking extremely cold and aloof, that piece of land in the east of the city, the Guanyuan group is eyeing it. President Liu, "Why don't you go check it out?" The man called President Liu was stunned. Before he could say anything, his words were choked back down. His expression twisted for a moment, as if he wanted to say something, yet also didn't want to say it anymore. Hesitating for 3 seconds, he blurted out, "Mr. Chin is as imposing as ever. Long time no see, she's truly virtuous." Chin Buliang didn't even bother to acknowledge him, leading me straight around the guy. I could feel that the guy's surname Liu was incredibly stifled. This was my first time witnessing Big Shot Chin's aura. I was a bit dazed, not knowing what I should do, and just followed him into the banquet hall. The moment we arrived, I already saw a few familiar faces, from my memories all belonging to that past group of fair weather friends. A few of them turned around and saw me, holding up their wine glasses about to walk over. But when they saw Chin Buliang, they all tactfully held back. Some who held back even gestured to me, telling me to go over there and talk, but I still didn't budge. The original cannon fodder's memories could no longer be relied upon. After all, in this high society, who knows how big the impact would be when one's status changes? Moreover, that group of people previously only associated with her out of respect for her being Big Shot Chin's nominal wife. That's the only reason they hung out. Now that Big Shot Chin himself is facing difficulties, I don't believe they have any loyalty left for this cannon fodder. Those with a bit of class would probably just exchange a few pleasantries, while the low-class ones are probably waiting for me to go over there. I'm not so free that I need to be that dedicated to the role. Qin Buliang suddenly asked, "Aren't you going over?" I shook my head, not going. We weren't close to begin with. It was just a superficial relationship. Now that the situation has changed, it's better not to be friends. Kim Buliang saw that this nominal wife of his wasn't completely brainless, but he couldn't understand why. She used to flock with those small-time losers all day. Since you're not going, then never mind. The two of them hadn't taken more than a few steps before two young men approached them together, walking straight toward them. The one walking faster looked a bit more mature, around 30 years old. He had a smile plastered on his face, but it looked incredibly fake. "Well, look who it is, Mr. Chin." And beside him, let me check my memory. Oh, it really is her. It seems to be Mrs. Qin. It's rare to see you two out together. What's wrong? Has life lately been short on cash? We always heard rumors that you two were at odds. Now it seems it was just gossip. Mrs. Qin is truly beautiful. At first I didn't catch on, but being a writer after all, I instantly understood his true intentions, especially that disgusting gaze of his. That was glued to my body, giving me goosebumps. I just wanted to gouge his eyes out. Kim Buliang's eyes turned icy. "Long time no see. I thought Mr. Gu was bedridden for good. Turns out you can still drag yourself back up. Smart people learn after tripping once, and will close their eyes to avoid it next time. But there are some who aren't very bright, and unless they completely collapse right on that spot, they won't be satisfied until they're dead. Don't you agree, Mr. Gu?" The other party's face turned visibly ugly. He forced another smile and said, "True. Some pits that used to be just pits might turn into treasures lying on the ground now. Seeing a treasure, who wouldn't want to pick it up?" I trust Mr. Chin gets my drift right. Word has it your business is hitting a snag. Since we're old acquaintances anyway, I'll kindly give Mr. Chin a piece of advice. Wealth doesn't necessarily just mean money. It can also be a person. After saying that, he shot me a look full of hidden meaning, making the implication glaringly obvious. I squeezed Qin Buliang's hand. What should I do? This man is absolutely disgusting. I seriously want to punch someone, even though I knew well that Big Shot Chin wasn't someone who'd sell his wife for glory. Hearing this still made me feel sick to my stomach. Kim Buliang lightly patted my hand, conveying a sense of reassurance. Some people think everyone else is just like them, based on how they themselves are. It's probably due to having such a narrow vision. That guy shamelessly admitted it. Correct. I am indeed a narrow-minded person. Can't compare to the broad-minded Mr. Chin. I'm only fit to do small business to make a living, praying for a bit of peace, without having to fear running into any accidents. The young guy who was walking with him earlier brought his female companion over, also wearing a malicious look. "We heard Mr. Chin and his wife were originally at odds, but now you seem quite affectionate. If one day I hit rock bottom, I certainly wouldn't have the heart to let my woman suffer through hardships together with me. Now that is what a real man would do." I realized this guy actually existed in the original owner's memories. His family was in the construction materials business. Before, he always had his younger sister suck up to the original owner, just to secure orders from Qin Buliang. Back then, the original owner listened to their flattery and sweet talk all day, and put in a good word for them with Qin Buliang. Qin Buliang would occasionally give them some face. Who would have thought that the moment he fell from grace, this guy would be the very first to stab him in the back? It truly makes people sick. Before Qin Buliang could even speak, I couldn't take it anymore. I stood right in front of Qin Buliang, letting out an incredibly sarcastic sneer. "It's not that you can't bear to let your woman suffer, but rather that nobody wants to suffer with you at all. Word has it that Mr. Yu's beautiful confidant, when your construction materials face issues and almost went bankrupt, was nowhere to be seen to lend a helping hand. If one day your business falls apart, who will even be left by your side all?" Having said that, I turned my gaze again toward Mr. Gu. "I know you're jealous that my husband and I have a great relationship. It's fine birds of a feather flock together after all. Having no woman by your side, willing to endure hardships with you, is only natural. You might be enjoying beautiful women right now, but later when you hit rock bottom and get abandoned by them, you'll just have to deal with it. Life is inherently unpredictable. Who knows what kind of things they'll run into? As a person, don't speak so complacently, lest you get slapped in the face when the tables turn later. Wouldn't that be an extremely ugly look?" Standing behind her, Qin Buliang actually found me a bit cute. The two guys opposite were about to say something more, and Qin Buliang was originally about to speak up, when suddenly someone interrupted. "Brother Qin, you're here?" I thought today I'd have to turn into a total Karen to argue with them. Who would have thought that before the two guys opposite could reply, their expressions completely changed. At this time, Qin Buliang behind me spoke up, just came over to look around. I saw that the person walking over was a very fashionably dressed young pretty boy. The pretty boy looked at me slightly stunned, but his attention only brushed past me for a moment. before returning to Qin Buliang. I knew exactly who this pretty boy was. He was the youngest in Qin Buliang's social circle. Zhou Yangsun, currently a hotshot in high society and also the guy who would become a scapegoat for him. Were you two brought here by these two clowns? What's the meaning of this brother Qin? Since when can anyone just casually talk to you? The Gu and Yu families have clearly overstepped their boundaries, haven't they? He was the most sharp-tongued man, whose words instantly made those two turn pale. The one surnamed Yu was about to speak up, but was impatiently cut off by Zhou Yangchun. What are you still standing here for? Waiting for an invitation from me? Do you think I'm as easygoing as brother Qin? Those two didn't dare say another word, nodding and immediately turning around to leave. The girlfriend beside them was still curious, glancing back to look at Zhou Yangchun, only to get scolded by them, and dragged away right instantly. Zhou Yangchun frowned and told Qin Buliang, brother Qin, it's one thing that you came, but why did you bring her along? Even if you brought her, you didn't even bother to give me a heads up. Even those two idiots just now dared to flex in front of you. You're way too soft-hearted. Qin Buliang smiled faintly. It's fine, just some clowns putting on a show? Usually I don't see you attending these banquets. Why did you come today? Qin Buliang, facing one of his own. His attitude was clearly much softer, with a hint of a smile remaining in his eyes. Zhou Yannickson pouted, his tone a bit whiny and reproachful. Wasn't I worried that if you came here, you'd run into some blind fools? I had to go through so much trouble to have my manager clear my schedule. Just to come here? Good thing I showed up otherwise. Who knows what else those two losers would have blurted out. After saying that, he looked at me, judging me from head to toe with his eyes. I looked down at my clothes. Everything seemed normal. What's wrong? My hair wasn't messy either. So I curiously looked back at Zhou Yangchun. After looking at me, he rolled his eyes at me with total disgust. Considering you knew to protect brother Qin today, I won't hold a grudge against you today. But with brother Qin's current situation, if you want to gold dig him, it's completely out of the question now. No need to put on a show anymore. If you can leave, just leave. I smiled a bit awkwardly. If it were anyone else, I could have snapped back. But this was Big Shot Qin's little brother. The man was seeking justice for his own brother, so as an insider, what could I even say? Besides, the previous behavior of the cannon fodder was indeed very easy to make people misunderstand. Qin Buliang saw Zhou Yangchun was about to speak up. Don't talk nonsense. We haven't divorced yet. Let's go. Let's sit over there. Zhou Yangchun rolled his eyes. Fine then. I'll go with you. Zhou Yangchun's arrival made what Qin Buliang originally intended to do have to be put on hold for a bit. Among his circle of brothers, Zhou Yangchun was the youngest, and also the most naive one. Compared to the vision of the others, he was more short-sighted but much more passionate. Otherwise, while others today knew not to disturb Qin Buliang, he, because of fearing that Qin Buliang might encounter something unfortunate, hurriedly rushed over. Also because he was the youngest, most of the time his older brothers spoiled him. So whatever emotion he had, he dared to show it right on his face. That straightforwardness combined with the background behind him made people not dare to offend him easily. Here, those who dared to offend Qin Buliang were actually just blind fools like those guys just now. Others, no matter how stupid, knew that. Qin Buliang was not a simple character. Even if he temporarily lost power, it didn't mean he couldn't make a comeback in the future. It's truly not worth it, right when someone just hits a low point, to run over and act like a desperate fool in front of them. Truly, a fallen tiger is still a tiger. Not to mention, he has controlled the Qin family for the past few years, being able to keep the Qin family suppressed and unable to make a move. Qin Buliang was inherently not someone who could be easily bullied. Because Zhou Yangchun was sitting beside him, other people didn't dare to come near here. Anyone among these people with a bit of status knew that Zhou Yangchun was someone not to be offended. I thought coming here this time, I'd have to face many awkward scenes. As it turned out, they hadn't been sitting for very long before Qin Buliang already wanted to take me away. Zhou Yangchun wanted to invite Qin Buliang to go with him, but Qin Buliang declined. After that, the two of them returned together, from beginning to end. Except for the three people met at the start. The other people seemed to only greet Qin Buliang when they ran into him, and after that, there was nothing else. What on earth did Qin Buliang come to this banquet for? I couldn't figure it out either. Sitting in the car, recalling the cannon fodder in my memory, every time Qin Buliang attended a banquet, there was always a crowd of people surrounding him. Compared to right now, aside from Zhou Yangchun, there wasn't a single soul else. I looked at Qin Buliang driving in front, and always felt there was a hint of desolation in this big shot's appearance. After hesitating for a good while, I finally plucked up the courage to speak. Did you achieve your goal at the banquet today? Qin Buliang, suddenly hearing this question, thought back to the moment I blocked him from the front. His voice was deep. Consider it achieved. He clearly did nothing, yet he said he achieved his goal. Then I felt that I indeed didn't understand the way a big shot does things. Perhaps he wanted to show them proof. But right now, it wasn't very flashy either. Big Shot Qin probably isn't that free anyway. After all, he is of noble birth. Having received an elite education since childhood, your highness isn't happy at all. I am exactly the blessing of the Bodhi Loot Heart. Didn't I sell off a bunch of bags and clothes earlier? Anyway, now I consider myself having an ideal, bringing in money for our current life. Actually, living expenses don't amount to much. I think after clearing the assets, we don't have any debts anymore, so why don't we buy a small apartment? I can make a down payment for a portion, and later use my book royalties to pay it off gradually. The remaining money is enough to live on for 6 months. As for the rest, if you want to do business, just take it and use it. Kim Buliang was stunned, never expecting that she would actually say these words. Through the rearview mirror, he saw my gaze filled with anticipation. Returning that night, I went to my own room to write manuscripts. Kim Buliang received a call. Brother Chin, the thing you asked me to check has a result. I've sent the encrypted file to your email. I haven't let anyone else see this document. Take a look. The laptop opened to the email page. Those lips. That had once tasted many women let out a soft sigh. Kim Buliang tapped his fingers on the table. Completely unconsciously, his brows slightly furrowing. He picked up his phone to call Master Sun. Hello. I want to ask if there's any kind of person in this world who, without having multiple personalities or suffering from schizophrenia, could turn completely into another person, from habits to their entire worldview, suddenly and completely changed. A few minutes later, he hung up. Tin Buliang leaned back in his chair, his expressionless face suddenly forming a smirk. A soul borrowing a corpse to return to life. The next morning, Tin Buliang drove over to pick me up, having finished my bun. I sipped my porridge while waiting, when he suddenly looked up and asked, "What's the meaning of this? What kind of novels do you usually write?" I was happily eating my bun, but froze upon hearing his words. Me, I write all kinds. I don't limit myself to one theme goal. I want to write everything, but my favorite is still isekai, soul transmigration, body transmigration, transmigrating into a novel. I love all kinds of high-concept isekai. Tin Buliang gave me a deep look. Is isekai actually real? How could I know? I thought about it and nodded, saying with a very serious face, I think it's real. The world is hard to explain clearly. Sometimes we feel life is very real, but sometimes it might just be a world under someone else's pen. Who can say for sure what the world really is? Since we don't even know that clearly, how dare we deny the existence of isekai? His movements paused, his voice suddenly dropping lower. A person transmigrating into a world created in a book. She nodded earnestly. Right, you have to think about it from a different perspective. Each of our lives is a novel. Some are counterattack stories, golds. Some are inspirational stories. Some are tragedies, some are comedies. Everyone is the main character in their own story. I used to think so too, but unfortunately, getting isekai has proven I'm just cannon fodder in someone else's story. Of course, in their story, maybe I'm just an unnamed extra or even cannon fodder, Tin Buliang continued to ask. Then if you really did transmigrate, what do you think you were in your past life? I tilted my head slightly, inadvertently thinking about my past life. I must have been a happy person. A harmonious family, a fulfilling life. My parents loved each other, and I was an only child who could do whatever I wanted. My parents might have passed away suddenly, but I got to major in what I loved, never lacking food, drinks, or money. A few months passed quite well, but in the end, starting a business probably didn't go as others planned, leading to getting bitten to death by a venomous snake, a truly unlucky way to die. Having said that, I recalled my bad luck back then. I clearly just helped someone get their bag back. Who would have thought that thug would be so ferocious as to directly stab a knife into me? It's a pity that I never did anything bad in my entire life, yet ended up with a conclusion like that. If I hadn't woken up to find myself isekai'd into a book, getting a second lease on life, I probably would have died from pure rage. As for Tin Buliang, he suddenly let out a sigh of relief for some unknown reason. Perhaps it was what was revealed in my words. That made him clear all his suspicions about the methods or malice of a certain someone. It seemed that even in her past life, the person opposite him was still a simple and kind soul. From the very first glance until now, I had revealed in every single aspect, a personality and quality that were completely different from the original cannon fodder. That kind of occasionally startling inner thought, in the eyes of a master actor like Tin Buliang, was as clumsy as a child wearing adult clothes, completely transparent at a single glance. If I hadn't always maintained my goodwill and well-mannered behavior, perhaps by now I would have been sent by Tin Buliang straight to Master Sun's place. It's just that I was completely oblivious to all of this. Tin Buliang scooped up some porridge and took a sip, thinking about how in my past life, because of showing mercy, it led to me getting stabbed to death. He couldn't help but say something like this. This way of dying is indeed very unlucky. Therefore, when encountering trouble, you must think it through. Even if you have goodwill, you must act according to your capability. I nodded repeatedly with extreme seriousness. Exactly. This matter is indeed very important. The world right now is too chaotic. That's a lesson I paid for with my life. Furthermore, Big Shot Chin is really great. He didn't say not to have a kind heart, but rather that one should act within their limits. His morals are so spot on. After that, the two of us didn't bring it up again. After finishing breakfast, Big Shot Chin went out, while I stayed in the room typing away. The contract had been signed and sent, and the base royalty rate was quite decent for a newbie. Next month, I'll be able to receive the money. Thinking about the royalties, I immediately thought about my plan to buy a house. But since Big Shot Chin said he'd handle it, I didn't need to stress over it anymore. This noon, the Big Shot didn't come back to eat, so I happily ordered takeout. After eating, I immediately cleaned up and threw the trash away. In my memory, Big Shot Chin had seemingly never ordered it, so I guessed he probably considers it junk food. It's better not to let him see it, lest he grows suspicious of me. Suspecting me in the afternoon, I sent out the package, and then went out to buy groceries. While at the supermarket, I suddenly realized that my current life wasn't much different from my past life. It's just that my side hustle isn't fully stable yet. And also in this life, there's an extra person, but otherwise, there's no difference at all. It's still staying holed up at home every day and occasionally going out for groceries. Living my own little life. A chill isekai person like me is probably quite a rare sight. But then again, who gets isekai like me? Where the story already ended right when I crossed over. Unable to predict the future. Even my path to getting rich was cut off. Otherwise, I could have ridden the wave of major trends. To make a fortune, now I can only rely on the knowledge I learned in my past life. Picking up a broccoli just as an auntie beside me asked, "Aren't you the girl that scumbag came looking for last time? Are you buying groceries too?" I turned my head to look, completely unrecognized, but I realized what she was talking about. She must have been one of the onlookers from last time. I smiled, "Hello, auntie." "Yes, I'm buying some veggies to cook dinner." The auntie smiled, "Good, very good. Few girls nowadays know how to cook. Your husband is so lucky to have married you." I shook my head with a smile. "Oh, not at all. He's always busy with work, so lately I've been doing the chores. Meeting him is actually my good fortune. Meeting such a tolerant big shot like Chin is truly the fortune of this supporting character. If this matter had happened to anyone else, who knows how miserable things would be by now." Even in my past life, seeing wealthy couples betraying each other and shifting blame during hard times was not uncommon. The auntie then gave some advice. "That's exactly it. As long as you're grateful, life won't treat you badly. You're so young, yet you think this way, it's truly commendable. If your husband is as grateful as you are, then things will definitely get better in the future. Auntie thinks suffering a bit while young isn't a bad thing. My son also worked hard to make money, but as long as you put in the right effort, things will still get better day by day. Now his income is in the millions, and my daughter-in-law is absolutely thrilled. Don't be in a rush, the hard times will pass." That's right, I also feel my husband will definitely make a comeback. Even if he doesn't, it's fine. Living like this is also very nice. I smiled, picking a good broccoli. "Auntie, I'm going to weigh my veggies now. Let's chat again when we have time." The auntie smiled. "Go line up, dear. It's really crowded today."